As the sun began to set behind the crumbling towers of Danvers Asylum, Mr. Cryptic nervously adjusted his camera, though thousands watched his channel for his explorations of abandoned locations. Tonight's venture promised to be his riskiest yet. Peering through the viewfinder, he took a deep breath and began to narrate in his signature cryptic voice modulator. I've traveled far searching for answers to the dark legends surrounding this decaying institution. Over a century's worth of human suffering seems ingrained in these very walls. His flashlight beam danced across peeling paint and scarred wooden doors, remnants of a previous era's inhumane treatments. Countless lost souls were condemned to torment within these corridors, but rumors persist of one room that witnessed atrocities beyond all others. Mr. Cryptic paused before a rusted metal door bearing a peeling 412 stencil. Graffiti scarred the frame, spelling warnings in fractured English. "Let this place die and leave before it's too late," stood out amongst the scratches. A chill crawled up his spine as he swung the door open with an echoing screech. The beam fell upon an otherwise barren chamber, excepting a circle of faded symbols scrawled in the center of the dusty floor. Stepping inside, he aimed the camera at his discovery. Legends claim ritualistic experiments took place here. I've come to learn the truth. As the live stream commenced, his footsteps stirred faint whispers that rose and fell unnaturally. Mr. Cryptic steeled his nerves and circled the symbol pattern. The architect's drawings made no record of this room. Its dark purpose was meant to remain hidden. Seconds stretched as he examined scrapes and scuffs marring the walls. Behind the lens, thousands of viewers held their breath, waiting for answers or proof of lingering malevolence. Then, movement flickered at the edge of the beam. Mr. Cryptic spun to catch a fleeting glimpse of emaciated limbs and distended features before his light died with an audible crackle, plunging the chamber into utter blackness. From the inky void emerged chilling whispers that overlapped and intensified, drowning out Mr. Cryptic's panic. One voice rose above the crescendo, susurrating horrors too terrible for mortal minds to fathom. The live stream cut to static, only conveying his blood-curdling scream before disappearing altogether. In his final moments, a single distorted word pierced the viewers' souls. "It's here." And so began the legend of room 412. Viewers watched in horror as Mr. Cryptic's livestream dissolved into white noise, his bone-chilling shriek still echoing in their minds. Panic erupted in the stream's comment section as thousands demanded answers from the unresponsive channel. After several nerve-wracking hours with no word from inside Danvers Asylum, an administrator finally pinpointed Mr. Cryptic's last known coordinates. At dawn's first light, a volunteer search party arrived at the decrepit old gates. Eerie stillness cloaked the sprawling network of decaying structures as they fanned out, calling his name. Overgrown lawns choked with weeds gave way to a jungle of rubble. Strewn walkways, linking crumbling buildings, blind alleys and hidden nooks promised untold horrors from Asylum's dark history. Beyond patches of clouded glass, shadowy interiors seemed to writhe with some nameless movement, just out of sight. An involuntary shudder passed through Tyler, one of Mr. Cryptic's moderators, as they pushed deeper into the maze. This place reeked of anguish. He approached the East Wing's final unnamed wards. Weathered double doors swung open with a rusty moan, prompting gasps from within. The stench of decay and worse assailed them, holding hints of some unnatural taint. Through drifting cobwebs, they spied a hulking shape slumped at the far end, surrounded by medical debris. Trepidation mounting, Tyler raised his phone flashlight for a better look and clapped a hand to his mouth. A horrific scene was illuminated. Torn flesh and splintered bone fragmented what was left of Mr. Cryptic's mutilated form. In his claw-like grasp lay the shattered remains of his camera, the lens stained dark with something half-dried. Tyler reeled back, heaving, despite the others' shouts, their echoes carrying farther than seemed possible through the weed-choked grounds. When his mind cleared, he noticed bits of paper dotted amid grass and cobbles bearing strange geometric patterns. Piecing together scraps revealed blueprints, clearly disavowing the existence of a room 412. Only fragments of the architect's signature survived, hinting at occult leanings. Their search concluded somberly, retrieving Mr. Cryptic's few intact effects: a cheap camping flashlight, audio gear, and his signature silver pendant depicting a grim reaper. As they drove the rusty items back to Hay under police escort, Tyler swore he felt an otherworldly malevolence radiating from within the pendant's etched scythe and hollow eye sockets, as if perceiving him from some nether realm. News spread like wildfire online. The asylum remained sealed as forensic analysts combed its dilapidation for clues amongst the rubble and weeds. But the grisly scene suggested an enemy beyond rational ken, one that defied the tenets of science and reason. What lurked in the crumbling stone and worm, Eden beams to rend a man asunder. The macabre imagery and questions raised left viewers with a profound sense of existential dread. 2 uneventful weeks passed without resolution as police wrapped their fruitless investigation. Online sleuths assembled theories, ranging from occult rituals to feral cryptids. Others claimed the entire sordid affair was staged for viral fame at the cost of poor Mr. Cryptic's life. The case had long grown cold when a familiar notification jarred them from their screens. A new account, bearing the identifier Room 412, had gone live, streaming from deep within Danvers Asylum. The notification froze viewers in their seats, blood running cold against all logic. The phantom footage continued where Mr. Cryptic's stream had cut short. 2 weeks prior, a disembodied camera panned gradually through utter blackness, as if adjusting to the void after grunts and shuffling footsteps drew closer until a blinding light flared to life, illuminating decrepit walls. The beam danced feverishly across peeling wallpaper and mold creeping between cracks, as though struggling to maintain control of its host. Unintelligible whispers fluttered at the edge of hearing, coalescing into a distorted chorus, resounding from everywhere at once. The light dipped and bobbed chaotically through a maze of corridors. Scrapes and slams suggested its bearer careened from obstacle to obstacle, pursued by some maddening force, clawing at the edge of perception. Viewers covered their ears against soul, chilling moans and hollow laughter, echoing endlessly. An anguished howl rose above the cacophony as the camera whipped around, capturing a fleeting visage of gaunt flesh stretched taut over jagged bone. The entity regarded onlookers with searing crimson eyes within black, abyssal sockets before the light shattered against the wall. The stream dissolved into static once more, leaving viewers reeling. Within minutes, debunking videos flooded social media, claiming the clip was crudely doctored, too structured and coherent compared to Mr. Cryptic's genuine footage. Others remained unswayed, sensing a malevolent intellect concealed amid the chaos, pursuing some inscrutable agenda. 2 nights later, the icon flickered live as dread descended once more. This time, the camera pivoted deliberately through a derelict ward, as if remembering the layout. Whispers coalesced into intelligible pleas for salvation from some nameless anguish. Screens flickered black as an unearthly keen rose to a fever pitch, fading to unveil rows of decaying beds. One housed a twisted mass of flesh, fused grotesquely with rusted machinery, trailing frayed wires and tubing. A haggard face, swiveled, insectoid eyes upon onlookers, hissing something swallowed beneath an unnatural chorus. The feed cut, leaving viewers stunned, and noticed typing had paused in comment section. When it resumed, a flurry of panicked reports detailed intruders materializing from screens to spirit victims away. Police dismissed the events as mass hysteria, yet more disappeared, each broadcast. 4 nights later, thousands watched warily as the camera panned among dusty equipment and rotting tomes. Wisps coalesced into a vague mockery of humanity, regarding viewers with pits of void where eyes should be. Its maw gaped impossibly wide, transfixing all present with an unholy incantation resonating from the asylum's darkest root. You, who desecrate this hallowed ground seeking answers, shall find only torment. Your inquisitiveness has awoken that which should never stir. We are Legion. We are the voices in the darkness. We are the voices in the darkness. We are the madness in your mind. No, only that room, 412, is eternal. The live stream decayed into a blinding mosaic, as thousands worldwide reported hallucinations and lost time. When consciousness returned, all records of the broadcasts had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Police were left with no leads, and a growing population rendered catatonic. It seemed the entity's cryptic message held deeper significance than any could comprehend, and its savage hunt had only just begun. As more disappeared following the cursed live streams, panic consumed online forums. Desperate families reported loved ones wandering in a dissociative stupor before vanishing without a trace, compelled by some inconceivable force. Police found no forensic evidence at scenes, despite blatant signs of struggle. It seemed the entity had manifested abilities beyond the physical realm, further defying reality's boundaries with each new abduction. Detective Emma Clark redoubled the investigation as her only viable leads crumbled. She reviewed files of the dwindling survivors rendered catatonic, many muttering frantically of room 412 through cracked lips. Their ramblings hinted at elder gods and impossible geometries, shattering her notions of sanity. Late one night, a haggard witness named Tyler contacted Clark directly. He recounted discovering Mr. Cryptic's remains in Danvers Asylum, swearing the pendant held vital clues to the entity's true nature. After weeks of dissociation, he regained enough clarity to realize its portents. Meeting privately, Tyler stressed they faced amorphous forces beyond mortal ken. His ravings unsettled Clark, yet she couldn't ignore mounting abnormalities. Agreeing to humor him, they retrieved the pendant under escort. Its hollow eyes bored into Clark's soul, radiating an aura of pure malevolence, like staring into some nameless abyss. She recoiled from the pulsating warble barely discernible along its edge, fearing utter madness lay that path. Tyler nodded grimly, affirming its unnatural properties. His insistence the entity spread its reach through the pendant convinced Clark further action was imperative, despite lacking jurisdiction or understanding of the foe. That night, she reluctantly tuned into the most recent broadcast to assess the situation herself. The decrepit camera panned flaccid flesh and medical tools, caked in mold and rust, a half-formed shape slithering at the edge of vision. Unfiltered terror gripped Clark as glimpses of some eldritch rite seared her psyche, imprinting nightmares of maddening geometries and blasphemies against creation. When consciousness returned, an inhuman presence lingered in her mind's eye. Static crackled from everywhere as the entity beheld her with vacant eyes, its chorus resonating Clark's name as her surroundings melted. She found herself hovering above Danvers Asylum's spiraling towers beneath an uncaring sky, the broadcast resounding endlessly from the dilapidated hole. Clark knew her quest ended here. If she dared delve further, yet leaving meant surely going mad from its lingering influence, endangering all who denied its existence. With grim resolve, she accepted the invitation into its twisted domain, descending into an infinite labyrinth as the spires blotted out the sun above. Reports surfaced worldwide of those interacting with the paranormal broadcasts vanishing without explanation. Loved ones pleaded online for any clues to end the macabre phenomenon, but found no answers, waiting in the impenetrable darkness. It seemed inevitable the cruel hunt would continue until none remained to spread forbidden knowledge of the entity's eternal prison within Danvers Asylum and the maddening secrets lurking beneath room 412. Deep within Danvers Asylum's dilapidated halls, Detective Clark awoke, head pounding. She lay encircled by arcane runes, engraved in the fading stone, each radiating a sickly glow. Through her daze, haunting melodies whispered fragmented horrors into her mind's eye. Struggling upright, Clark peered into suffocating blackness, pooling where rusted fixtures flickered uselessly. Her footsteps stirred in human whispers, converging from the darkness like a coming storm. An unseen force compelled her onward through a labyrinthine nightmare, each turn unraveling her tattered sanity further. Without warning, bone-white arms erupted from the walls to drag squealing shadows into voids between reality and dream. Clark stumbled back frantically, clawing at her mind beneath a rising chorus, keen. In the distance, incandescent lights pulsed in rhythm with its unholy song, beckoning her toward revelations beyond comprehension. Steeling herself, Clark stumbled onward, guided by that sinister refrain. Her light fell upon a massive iron door bearing sigils traced in some viscous fluid. With a piercing shriek, it swung open, unleashing an overpowering wave of aberration and dread from the chamber within. Bare bulbs flickered overhead, illuminating an altar of flesh fused with rusted steel draped in viscera. Before it knelt a nightmarish amalgamation, twisting malformed limbs in a blasphemous ritual invoking eldritch powers unseen since prehistory. Its bone mask swiveled to reveal Clark, features twisting in rapture. Witness perfection, daughter of clay. We are legion within these hallowed walls, crafting a flesh more sublime through eons of turmoil. This decaying cage is but a womb. Our true ascension approaches. Its wretched chorus joined the hymn crescent, doing to a maddening pitch as a colossal form coalesced upon the altar. Through the abomination, Clark glimpsed flickers of futures twisted beyond mortal design, and herself animated through some profane rite to spread its blasphemous gospel. With a guttural screech, the ceiling plunged inward, shards of molding plaster raining upon the carnage as dust choked the chamber. Through the chaos, Clark glimpsed a doorway beyond the ruins, leading deeper underground, its ebony maw promising revelations to shatter all preconceptions of reality. But escaping the crumbling building took priority over satiating her curiosity. Stumbling through the chaos, she burst free into the claustrophobic night. Danvers' asylum imploding behind in a cacophony of screams. The trees seemed to writhe and whisper in some unfathomable tongue as Clark fled that unholy cataclysm, piecing together horrific glimpses of the entity's true designs upon the world. Its roots had sunk deeper than any could conceive, binding mankind to eternal damnation within that timeless place of suffering. Room 412. Outside the asylum grounds, emergency vehicles flooded the area as first responders combed the rubble for survivors. Clark stumbled towards them in a daze, trying to convey the eldritch forces unleashed within. But her ravings only deepened suspicions of instability after the harrowing ordeal. In the aftermath, local news ran sensationalized stories of a gas explosion reducing the abandoned building to cinders. Though shocked at the inferno's scope and lack of human remains, officials closed the case without resolution. But Clark knew the truth. Dwelling in that place of suffering remained very much alive, merely retreating to scheme in the darkness. Weeks later, in the dead of night, she awoke, screaming from vivid nightmares, portraying that nameless entity's designs. Grim visions lingered of oozing pores, fusing with steel and wire, crafting a flesh more sublime to spread its blasphemous gospel. Only by standing among the smoldering ruins could she grasp its euphemism. The sprawling root system underlying Danvers had served as an incubation ground, nurturing souls condemned within for fertilizer. Now freed from that decaying cage by the inferno, its spores would inevitably spread that maddening fungus throughout the world. All beauty and order were but kindling to fuel its cyclical rebirth across the ages. Every shadow and reflection might someday writhe with its chaotic designs, transforming Earth into a warren of torment to fulfill its alien purpose. In those scorched grounds, all that remained was a charred pendant, untouched amid ashes. Its abyssal eyes seemed alive, radiating a presence that burrowed into Clark's mind. She fled its malign aura, yet found no escape from the entity's lingering influence on the soul. Its profane revelations lingered, seeding madness in even her most private thoughts. Months passed without incident as nature reclaimed the blackened shells. Few recalled the paranormal saga with anything but skepticism, but in remote corners of the dark web, mysterious video uploads surfaced purporting to document rituals, awakening dormant spores from that place. Their subscribers vanished without a trace, as rumors spread of a fungal plague transforming victims into rabid sycophants. Clark redoubled efforts to bring the true horrors to light, yet found only dead ends and closed doors. All records of the entity and Danvers' asylum seemed stricken from existence. She came to realize its influence had permeated deeper than any could see, twisting minds worldwide to forget that which should remain forgotten. Only in her vivid night terrors did its cryptic laughter still echo, promising its physical form was but a fleeting mockery. Room 412 was eternal. As the sun set on another normal day, Clark glimpsed shadows lingering at the edge of vision, twisting and shapes into maddening geometries just out of focus. An omnipresent dread assured its spores had taken root in the essence of reality itself, awaiting their time to blossom and transform a oblivious world into but kindling. None could escape. That which had no true form. Only an idea propagated through unfathomable eons, destined to fuel eternal cycles of madness and rebirth. The hunt had only just begun.